Hello, everybody. I'm just gonna make myself a cup of coffee. I should have done that before I started the stream, but you know how it goes. You know how the cookie crumbles. Um, let's see. I'm just gonna turn on the YouTube stuff, auto find and activate. Okay, sweet. Yeah. So just give me a minute, and I'm gonna make some coffee, and I'll be right back. Sorry, sorry. I'm back. So anyway, I wasn't gonna stream today. I didn't think I would, but I decided to do it anyway. Um, it is what it is. I'm here right now. Just made myself some coffee and some yogurt. So, here's the problem. This whole slorp thing. I couldn't stop thinking about slorb. And so I figured I'm just gonna try to get this out of my system. See, is this idea any fun? Is it worth pursuing? And I don't know. So we're gonna be working on slorp today. We got slorb on the menu. So, without further ado, slorb. Basically, I've set up a little bit. I'm trying to find what could be a working art style for the game. We got some hands here. Remember me? Yeah, I remember you, Patricio. This is a slorb. You'll notice how the hands sway a little bit as you walk. They pop up and down when you jump. Little impact. Depending on how you look up or down, they actually change also. And yeah, I'm gonna try to develop a little system here and see if we can't start some slorb spells today, some slorb gumbles. But I think I'm gonna need some different kinds of textures for the ground. I don't know, I don't think I want to go this hyper realism route, because right now the textures are like very realistic. I would prefer for them to be a bit more cartoony. But I kind of like the vibe. But yeah, I'm gonna try to make some slorb spells, some slorb gumbles. And just figure out a system we can use to describe gumbles, basically. I also use this shadow system here, so you can see how the shadows are really sharp but sort of rounded, which makes it almost like a little bit surrealistic. Like the shadows aren't proper shadows, they're like this fake approximation. And there's a day-night cycle, so you can get some pretty beautiful scenes here in Slorb Valley. This lake here is kind of horrifying, honestly. I don't know, it goes black in the night. Oh yeah, I get it, Soup. You have Corona, right? I get it now. COVID, Corona, get it? Okay. So. I want to do it like the beer. Yeah. Soup sent a photo of a Corona because I guess she's day drinking or something. But it's also fitting because she has Corona, COVID, you know, coronavirus. Maybe that's where she got it.
It's Patrizio said, if Goidel was penguin robber, Gunilify.
Oh yeah, Gunilify. We love day drinking? Yeah, some of us more than others. Anyway. I want to do this thing with the slorbs so they look at you. I think there is like animator look at or something. But I think that only works for heads. I don't know, I'm gonna see. Is there like animator.look? Is that only for humanoids? Yeah, look at position animator without being humanoid. Has an IK system which can be used on generic rigs. Okay. Megacraft. Vinton Steel. My name is Steve. Hello, BS. How many hours a day? I spend 1 gillion hours.
The richest penguin on this side of the equator.
It's a Patricia cheered 6 bits.
6, 7, 6, 7. That's crazy.
I am Rich Rick. The richest penguin on this side of the equator.
It's a Patricia cheered 7 bits.
He cheered 6, 7 bits. Gleep. Slorb. Look at him. Look at this. This is a slorb. These guys can do gumballs, which is magic in the world of slorb. Yeah, this is literally the game. I just started yesterday. I'm trying to... I don't know how to figure out the... Like, do I make an avatar? Yeah, damn it, the best viewers. Banned. I don't want the best viewers, I want the worst viewers. We're good, we're good. Can you lift your arms? Nah. Nah. How the frick do I make a generic avatar look at? Is it inverse kinematics? Is that? Unity animation IK look at. Right. This method directly leverages the animator's component IK capabilities within a script. Enable IK pass in the animator controller.
It's Patricio said, Slorb clips. You're watching Slorb clips. Slorb clips. You're watching Slorb clips. You are watching Slorb clips.
Yeah, I don't know if I should do this now. It's just, it's such like a, I'm not talking about the game, I'm talking about this specific feature, which is, like, can we, maybe we can override the, see, this is the problem. Like, most animations in games are based on what's called a humanoid skeleton, which is set up in a specific way, right? The moment you deviate from that, you start having to use a bunch of custom shit. Still in Italy. Oh yeah, nice. It is easy to, yeah, I know it's easy to rig with Blender. I'm talking about inverse kinematics. I'm not talking about the actual rigging. Rigging is easy, dude. I'm talking about using like built-in functionality, like look at, like trying to make a character's skeleton blend animations to like look at things is quite tricky. My guy Hagaton thinks it's my birthday. It's not my birthday. I said it was my birthday tomorrow, I think. Yesterday. My birthday's in August. Shit. Okay, well maybe we just ignore the look at thing for now. We can just make him, we fix the head later. Let's think about the actual Tagaton. You know, my birthday is in August. It's not my birthday today, but I appreciate it. My birthday is in August. When in August? That I'm not gonna tell you. That's a secret. Okay, what abilities are we thinking? We have like freaking fire, ice, wind, explosion.
It's our Patricio said, Slorb, Mega informed me that free camera is available to use already. Very hyped to do a new video.
It's available to use in Penguin Springs. Available to use in Penguin Springs. Pigskin, not so much. Pigskin is not working? Okay. Oh, dude. All interactables are broken, right? Yeah. Fire, ice, wind, explosion, friggin' healing. Slime. The fuck else? Electricity. Yeah, I mean, you can't put on outfits then if the interactables are broken. But I don't know, like, I just want to double check that now to, like, go into... Because you might have to send me log files, Mega, or... I'm just going to check it now. What freaking other abilities are there for, like, effect? Like, there could be spikes, you know? There could be... I mean, you could have a bunch of these. You just come up with random ones. Like, it could be freaking bubbles, you know? But then bubbles can combine with, like, spikes. You could have fire spikes and fire bubbles, you know? Like, these are the elements. So, I mean, you could do this. Like, you could do, effect. And then you'd have, I'm just gonna do these lowercase. But I think explosion would be a delivery method. So, delivery. If we think about it this way, right? Because then you can have potentially you could potentially have a combination, right? So like you could have a projectile that shoots fire and ice, you know. There could be ice, water, right? Fire, ice, water, wind, healing, electric, freaking metal. Because then we just stack on these things. You combine a projectile with an effect. So the projectile could be an explosion, and it's like a metal explosion and the explosion shoots away like freaking metal bullets. And then there's like a projectile where it launches like a metal boulder or something, you know, but the boulder is combined, like it's an electric metal boulder, or at least like a fire electric boulder, you know. You can combine the elements, stackable things, and then you can have like different intensities, both like the intensity of the effect and then the intensity of the delivery. So maybe like a projectile could be like, you know, a freaking shotgun spread, or it could be like a freaking single huge projectile. The cutest one need to be the most useless, like the cutest Slorb. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Apparently, Penguin Heist is already open, but I don't see it's open. What else would you have? You'd have I'm just spitballing here, so if any of you guys have any idea for like elemental effects, or it doesn't have to be elemental effects, you know, it could be like, again, metal is technically not an elemental effect, it's just, you know, you could have dirt or whatever, ground. Then you could have magic, like you could just have a magic effect. But I feel like projectile explosion, slime, like, you know, some form of goop. Spikes, like spikes out the ground, bubbles. But then you can have different projectile varieties. So you can have like, you know, spike, bullet, boulder. Like there can be variations of projectiles. Explosions can be like blasts, but they could also have like, you know, if they have wind, they fling them away. You can have a bunch of different effects. I'm gonna see if this interactable stuff isn't working, like Mr. Mega said. Could be, if it's not working, that it's finding some interactable that is not triggering the way it should. Yeah, I think. Hello, Christian. Fire, ice, water, wind, healing, electric, metal, dirt, ground, magic is probably a good enough range. But the thing is, how do we stack this? I mean, we can describe, because if we're taking a data-driven approach, right? Because we want to be able to stack these effects. So like, basically, we want to be able to slot in the effect of fire, slot in the effect of ice, water, wind, etc. Just drag that in and have that be applied to whatever spell or gumble is gumbled. That makes the most sense to me. I'm gonna walk to the residence. Maybe I should just chat with the AI, ask it for architecture suggestions. I haven't done much like from the ground up data-driven stuff. I'll ask it. We'll do a AI-driven development, am I right? Who's with me? Okay, let's see here. We'll go to the freaking what the fuck is up with this orange hue on the windows? It's probably just a graphical bug, right? So the store doesn't work, you say? I mean, it works for me, except I guess the... What happens when you interact with Omega? Does the UI not show up or what? You'll have to send me the log files, I think. I am gonna fix that you can actually interact with the clothes though, because that is kind of weird that you can't. Let's see here. Something got removed. I think it is... Where is it? Headwear, facewear? Or it's the clothing shop here. Headwear, facewear. And modified component revert. Yeah. I can upload a build with that and it should at least fix that, but I mean if the interactable still aren't working, I don't know. Okay, let's talk with the AI, dude. Let's talk with the AI. All right, let's open up plastic. Yeah, but you need to send the logs because I was just doing it and it was working. I don't know. I couldn't figure out any issues with it. Okay, let's see here. I'm working on my Slorb game and want to take a data-driven approach to designing the ability/magic system in the game. What approach should I use? I want to combine effects with deliveries. And both should support intensity sliders. Look, man. This is Slorb. I'm gonna add Murga Durga to this game, by the way. Okay, use a composable data-driven spec. Ability equals delivery effect modifiers with both delivery and effect parameterized by a normalized intensity run through per field curves. Abilities would have an ID, a name, delivery reference, effect reference, and modifiers, right? Right, but they should be stackable. Rewrite the spec, but allow abilities to stack multiple effects and deliveries. Yeah, this is... I'm having the AI design my game. No, I'm doing a little bit of a research on how I can best approach this because I want to have like a modular approach. Use a stackable composable spec where an ability owns many deliveries and many effects. Each entry has its own intensity and blend rule. Right, so you'd have a bunch of deliveries, a bunch of effects. You have the name of the ability, the modifiers. You can find them by doing %app data %. It's not in local app data, so just go to app data and then local low and then fish soft. And they're going to be in Penguin Heist. And it's the player and player prev. Intensity. Right, okay. Right, yeah, because I mean, I guess you could specify as a type of intensity for a delivery, because then you could have like a base weak, but then you could still have a modifier that globally boosts the whole ability. So it could be like a weak fire, weak projectile, but then boosted by a modifier. So it's like a strong weak one, you know? That makes sense. That makes sense. Wait for blending sibling deliveries. Right, yeah. Okay, so if there are more deliveries, you'd have a wait, so they wouldn't override each other, I assume. Right, and you could link, so it's like fire, bullets, and an ice explosion. Right. Stack rule, add max min. Right, because you could stack ice and ice. Scope on hit, on area tick, on end. I do not know exactly what that is supposed to represent, but... But then you have the reference, but then you have the spec. Is the spec the actual implementation? File Explorer is not maneuverable anymore? What do you mean? You just click up here, or you click this up, go up. School, right? Fire, ice, water, wind, healing, electric, metal, ground, magic, rams, and curves. For each delivery reference D, evaluate curves at D intensity. Oh, right. Okay, so you'd map the intensity would map to a curve, so I could set it that it does that it like you know, the intensity at a level intensity 10, it only goes up by 10%. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Would you have you'd have a curve there as well, yeah, for the delivery spec. If mode equals sequence, start after the previous ends, and the mode. Right, delivery. And then I guess delivery reference would be in order. So first it could be a. Okay, okay. According to app data, but are you in local low? Like percent app data percent, right? And then you go up one folder to app data, and then to local low, and then to fish soft. You don't have local low? What the fuck? See, like, I understand the data-driven thing, right? So you have the data that drives the outcome, but where in the data-driven approach do you describe the actual You had to show hidden files. Yeah, that's so garbage, dude. When operating systems are like hiding shit from you in like garbage submenus, like, dude, just show me the files. Or at least make it like blatantly obvious where I can see the hidden files. Yeah. Okay, so runtime sketch. You'd have a ability reference, which contains a bunch of deliveries, effects, and links. Right, okay. And then when we resolve effects, I want, yeah, I guess the main one. That's your save file. I need the player. Where did you send it? In bugs and issues? The player. Yeah, there's no... I don't know what all this is, like spawn health item, but maybe that could be just from the disconnecting. Though it's being egregiously spammed. Have you tried... What if you try, like, just, deleting your save file? Oh, wait, you probably don't want to do that, I guess. Or you can delete your Penguin Spring save file. Can you delete this? PS save main? Delete PS save main and try loading into the game. It could be this save file ruins your could be it's just corrupt and incompatible. Because it's trying to do like a bunch of rendering here for like your inventory, which is not working. Okay. But for... Okay, I understand the data backend, but when it comes to resolving and actually executing based on the data, what is the most reasonable approach? I am in Unity, by the way. Because that's always the thing that I've been confused on for like proper data-driven resolve once, then simulate with small controls, right? Because you'd resolve the behavior, which means that you'd resolve resolving is basically looking at what are the rules of play for executing based on ability. So input is the ability specification plus the delivery references, the effect references, and the links and the context. Output a compact, immutable resolved ability with all numbers baked. So it's already computed like the output damage and everything. It's done all the pluses and minuses. Then you bake the curves to values, right? So you read the curves and put them into values. Allocate IDs for each delivery effect instance for routing. Yeah. Build a timeline, parallel versus sequence windows, right? So that's like when things should be executed. Pre-compute static colliders / areas, if any. Each delivery is a tiny controller that emits hit events or area hicks. Use polling. Projectile controller, raycast overlap, pierce, lifetime. Explosion controller, delayed burst, radius fall off. Slime controller, persistent area with hicks. Spikes controller, on N ray. Now it works? Okay, yeah. Good. Sweet. Well, I'm gonna be synchronizing another version quite soon. It's gonna have a few fixes. Because the outfits aren't like the clothing store in Penguin Springs was like kind of broken. Slow homing pop AoE, right? Emit events into lock free ring buffer or native queue. Okay. Controllers are mono behaviors from a pool. Event bus is a singleton. Right, so controllers, you'd spawn in a controller based on the effect. So would a controller have a or fix a controller single mono behavior that executes all variations of effects slash No, do one mono behavior per delivery instance, not one megascript. Effects do not become components. Apply them from data when a hit slash area tick. Okay, so you'd have uh-huh. Oh, hell yeah. Right. That is nice for just raw data and damage, but when it comes to rendering and such. Because I imagine, I mean, if you are firing, for example, a frost fire spell, you would maybe sprinkle in you'd sprinkle it in, I guess. I don't know, like the particles. Caught dev using ChatGPT. I'm using it to develop my data-driven system. I'm not having it write the code for me. I'm more so pitching because I'm not really invested in data-driven stuff. So I'm trying to learn a bit about structuring from it. I'm using it like Google. Separate gameplay from visuals. Try VFX by data, not by effect scripts. BCS creativity is dead. I mean, look, man. I wouldn't ask ChatGPT to write my my scripts for me. But if all you ever do when you're coding is building off of your own knowledge, you're gonna end up in a sore state. You are much better off doing 50% of your own work and then another 50% of learning from others. And ChatGPT is a great tool if used for learning. Now, the problem arises when you're not using it for learning, but instead you're using it to literally just offhand all of your work to it, right? If you're, my thinking goes, but if you didn't have ChatGPT, you would, no, I would probably Google this shit. I would look at videos. You're completely off base here. Completely. My thinking goes, if you're using ChatGPT in an area you're unfamiliar with, right? If you're not familiar with the area, you should use it as a tool for learning, but do so at your own peril, right? If you're familiar with the area, you will not have any issues, right? You will not have any issues if you're familiar with the area, because then you can call it on its bullshit, right? Then it's just automating the work for you, which can be fine because you can call it on its bullshit. You can see when it's not doing well. Bro, you should not speak to trolls. Well, they're not trolls. They're just I don't know, people either have a knee-jerk reaction against AI or knee-jerk reaction for AI. I think it's a sorry state. But yeah, I want to get more into data-driven development, so I'm just seeing what ideas I can gather from this. But you're not using your mind anymore, asking an AI versus asking Google, right? Unless you're taking every single word as gospel from the AI, you're not like, you shouldn't feel any smarter because you Googled something. AI slop is garbage, LLM is helpful, but not, yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, for some reason, people get so absolutely enraged by the thought of using an LLM literally as like a form of advanced Google or advanced, like it's essentially like Wikipedia, right? You don't go on Wikipedia and expect everything to be true, just like you don't go and use an LLM and expect everything to be true. And more so when you're looking at something like I'm looking at, freaking data-driven development, it's not like I'm gonna have a freaking disastrous outcome because I learned like something slightly wrong. This is like an architectural question. There isn't even any right or wrong answer. I believe developers have to get used to AI, but not only by using ChatGPT, because that will cause vibe coders to get better than devs. I don't see vibe coders ever bypassing any developer ever. The problem with all vibe coding is that sooner or later, you're gonna need a real developer to finish the project, to get it across the finish line. Vibe coders, or people who are not developers and who do vibe coding are completely and utterly delusional. I'm good, Valentine. I'm good. I'm working on... I usually work on this game called Penguinized, but I'm just trying to not burn out on it. And I'm just doing this little small side project I was thinking of that I just could not get out of my mind. It's basically, it's called Slorb. Let's see here, I wrote down this document somewhere. Right, Slorb Gleeble Gumble. So it's basically, it's a game about these little animals called slorbs, and you can teach the slorbs gumbles, which is spells, and you teach them by speaking them the spells. And you teach them the spells by speaking the spells. And what's interesting is that you don't know what the spells do unless you understand the language of Slorb, right? Which you can learn by playing the game enough. So there's going to be like little language thing. And I want to have like a data-driven approach for the actual abilities in the game. If developers doesn't learn AI, they won't be able to keep up eventually. That's absolute lie. You can learn to use AI in 5 minutes. If you're a competent developer, you can learn to leverage AI in 5 minutes. Using AI is such a non-existent skill. Like the prompters think there's a skill to using AI, but there absolutely just isn't. If you're a competent developer, you can prompt an AI to do exactly what you want, but a prompter is never going to be able to get it to do exactly what they want because they don't even understand what the AI is doing in the first place. It's all good, Gufford. It's all good. We're just having the good old AI discussion. The good old AI discussion. But basically, I'm working on Slorb. But yeah, the idea is I want to have a data-driven approach, right? And the reason I want to have data-driven approach is because it ties into the language thing. So like the scrolls and spells will describe different abilities with different like strengths and intensities. And then you'll be like speaking them into your microphone to teach them to your Slorbs. You'll be like, you know, maybe you'll say, but in Slorbian now, right? You'll say like strong, fire, water, explosion. You know, you say that. So it's like gleeble, gloob, glob, glee. You know, you speak that into your microphone, and then the Slorb will repeat it back. Gleeble, glooble, glob, glee. And then, you know, it casts the spell, and it makes a like fire, water explosion or whatever, because that's what you said. But you can buy the scrolls from like the scroll shop or whatever. But yeah, the reason I need data-driven is because I want this to be hyper modular and for me to be able to add lots and lots and lots of abilities that do a bunch of shit. Exactly, it's going to be easy to add on to as well. That's the idea. So my thinking goes, I have 6 years of coding experience and learning to use ChatGPT is easy, but there's much more to AI than ChatGPT. Yeah, like friggin' Cursor or whatever. But like, again, it's not hard. You literally just install software on your computer and you're up and running. Like, there's nothing difficult when it comes to using AI. And that's what I think the people who are invested in AI have deluded themselves into thinking that they're learning a skill when really they're not. There is no skill they're learning. The only thing that's happening is that the AI models they're using are getting better, but they're not improving. They're just prompting away, thinking, oh yeah, I'm a prompt engineer. But they're not learning anything. Nice car. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, the idea is you'd have like you had effects and delivery systems. Now I'm thinking there could be like the delivery could also be self. So like self-afflicted. Targeted. They could just afflict some other slorb. Those make sense. So there's like
said, gleep gleepa glorb, glop gloopa gleepa, glop glop gloopa gleep,
glop glop gloop gleep, gleep glop gloop glop glorb, gleepa gloop glop glorb. It could be melee, self-affected, projectile explosion, AoE, and if it includes frame fire or not. First slorb type game. That's what I think they should all be friendly fire. I feel like they should be all friendly fire. Does that make sense? Should they all be friendly fire? You don't know about all friendly fire? I mean, I guess if you have freaking AoE poison range, you don't want that poison to... Since Slorbs will die if you have... Yeah. Maybe they should be by default. Yeah, but there could be, like, some of them, like the freaking explosion can be friendly fire. Maybe, I don't know. Then every game would end too soon because your Scrimba, Gamba, Greeble, Gopla, Slurpus die. Exactly. Maybe they shouldn't be friendly fire. Maybe the only potential friendly fire is your own, but then also, I don't know. Maybe it could be like a friendly fire mode. Maybe you could turn that on as a setting. So that's like the hardcore mode for the hardcore players. You get the achievement for winning the Slorb Jamboree with friendly fire turned on. You can breed them a lot. Yeah, I think maybe Slorb breeding should be in the game. I feel like people like breeding. The player could also have support Slorbs that apply buffs with friendly fire spells. Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, because an effect could be healing, or like strengthening, or like boosting, or whatever. So you could have, you know, but the thing is that would be included in the spec for the effect itself, right? So you could have a spell that at the same time casts fire but also heals nearby teammates, right? So the spells can be offensive and defensive at the same time. So like fire projectile and healing AoE all at once. AI is not hard. I can code, but I can use AI to be much more than a developer, analyst, product manager, scrum master. It's not easy to make with pure knowledge or simple prompting. Developers can be much more. Yeah, sure, buddy. Whatever. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. Let's put it that way. People, I mean, you know, if the AI hype was real, we would have seen amazing products coming out of AI, but have we? Will Slorbs only be able to learn one spell each? Maybe they could have a primary and less power. Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good, because what I was when I was discussing this with Mr. ChatGPT, like you would essentially the suggested by Mr. AI, the suggested structure was basically you have a ability, right? Which is composed of an amount of effects and amount of deliveries, and then links between said effects and deliveries. So like, let's say, for example, e.g., you have the effects fire, water, and then deliveries you could have projectile, AoE, and then the links could say fire, projectile, fire, AoE, but then also water, AoE, right? So that would be, I guess the thing is, maybe you don't even need, maybe you just need the links. Judging by the Noida experience, the point is to get to your sorcery to the point of ultimate laser of Uber destroyer of the world. Well, I don't know exactly what the end. For me, it's like it's going to be a lot of slorbs all at once, and all these slorbs are going to march into battle in the slorb arena, and the chaos is going to come not just from necessarily a singular slorb, but like the coalescence of all the slorbs using all their abilities all at once, not just from your team but also from the opposing team. Potentially very resource heavy. I mean, it's not going to be thousands of slorbs, you know? It's going to be a manageable amount of slorbs. Maybe like 10 slorbs per team, you know, maximum. I mean, 10 is not a lot if we're talking, like resource demanding, I wouldn't say. I mean, if you have 10 slorbs, 100 projectiles per slorb, I mean, that's not... Yeah, but I mean, the epicness is going to be... Because you can't... There has to be a personal connection with your slorbs, right? If you don't form a personal connection with the slorbs, the game falls flat. There has to be like, oh, I love my slorb. He's so cute, you know? But if you have like 1,000 slorbs, this guy is just one in a million. You know, it's like, oh, because you name your slorbs, you know, they have like names when you buy them at the store or whatever. Basically, you have to make a master sorcerer slurp. Yeah, it's sort of like the fun in the game would be from not just finding out what are the good spells. It's a bit like a football team. Yeah. It's like figuring out not just what spells work for a slorb, but what spells work between more slorbs. That's sort of what I'm thinking. So there are two layers to it. And I think like in a game like Noida or whatever, I haven't played it myself, but I've seen bits and bobs. There, since you're just the one character, the only way for it to get truly chaotic is by making the abilities insanely over the top. But in Slorb, you can probably tone it down a bit because the chaos is not going to emerge from necessarily a single ability, but the fact that there are like quite a few slorbs using them all at once, and not only that, you have like this personal attachment to the slorbs. You don't want to see them die. You form like a personal connection. Most Penguinized players become billionaires. That's true. I feel like an ability should probably only have effects and links, right? Or like it should just be links, really. Like an ability should not necessarily have an amount of effects and deliveries. It should just be defined as links, which is saying that you have fire, projectile, or... But I guess the thing is, no, you would need to have all three, right? Because the thing is, if the projectile, like assuming the deliveries, right? Deliveries, you have projectile 1, AoE 1, because then you could have projectile 2, right? So you can try to learn from Path of Exile skill gem system. I've never played any of these games that do these things with like stacked abilities and building. I haven't, so I'm just sort of gung-hoing it, you know? I don't think I've played any. I haven't even played a single roguelike. I played Binding of Isaac back when that released. That's it. The reason this game speaks to me, the guy who made Balatro had never played a roguelike in deck. Yeah, this is going to be the next Balatro. Let's do it. I think I shouldn't play any roguelikes then. I'm going to be the next Balatro. Slorb takes the gaming market by storm. Yeah, but this makes sense, right? I don't know. Fresh ideas are cool. First creature collector game that's not a Pokemon clone. Yeah. Let's hope Pokemon doesn't sue me. So here's the thinking, okay? So you would have effects, right? One effect would be fire. One effect is water. And effects would be, you know, like we can have it, you know, weak fire, strong water. And then you have a bunch of deliveries. So you'd have like projectile 1, AoE 1, projectile 2. These are all like this projectile 1 fires like a normal bullet, projectile 2 fires like a bigger bullet. So we link the weak fire gets linked to the projectile 1, but weak fire also gets linked to the AoE, and then the water gets linked to projectile 2. And they get fired off like in order, or like some of them at the same time. So maybe the projectile 1 and AoE 1 launch at the same time, but then after that's been launched, projectile 2 launches. I feel like this is a reasonable structure, and we can probably fairly confidently procedurally generate this. Because then basically what we need to do is we design a bunch of effects, a bunch of different delivery systems, and then this linking, like we generate the effects array randomly, generate the deliveries array randomly, and then we hook up the links randomly. You know, so that's the whole randomized aspect to it. So these are pre-designed. But I mean, honestly, even the effects and the deliveries can be like randomized too, right? Like the strength of them and like the size or whatever can also be randomized potentially. Like maybe the projectile 2 is like we call it projectile 20 because it launches 20 bullets or whatever. The projectile name should also diverge from a root word, but have different endings. So projectile 1 is bleep bump, and projectile 2 is bleep nor. Yeah, exactly. So we could like tie it into, we could bucket, So like, for example, if it's like a bullet, right? And it launches a single big bullet, it could be bleep ump, but then many bullets could be bleep ump. And then you could have, like, this is like one bullet, many bullets, one large bullet. So you can derive it like that. Could do sniper, shotgun, SMG type of projectiles. Yeah. So, but then we could sort of like bucket it, So it's as generalized as possible. But then you could even do bleep, bleep omper, many large bullets. So you can combine the endings as well. So you can have a bunch of these. And that speaks to this, you know. I think that's a good idea. But those should be rare. Yeah, those should be rare. But then the idea is here, right? So this describes an ability, right? So this is a full ability. Fire and water. You know? But then not only that, we have the effects, deliveries, and links, and then we just have strength modifier, which can modify the global strength of the entire ability, right? So for a primary skill, this strength modifier would be like 1 or whatever, but then it could be reduced to like 0.75 for like secondary or whatever. Or you know, we could somehow read into this and reduce like or boost. But it wouldn't necessarily have to be like, but you should be able to essentially, you know, multiply it by some modifier, if that makes sense. So you should be able to like multiply it. And there would also be a friendly fire modifier. Yeah, but I think the friendly fire might, well, I guess it would be for everything. I thought that, yeah, I guess it would be for everything. We could make it so the actual scrolls themselves always show like a danger symbol or whatever when it is friendly fire. So you can sort of see like, oh shit, you know, this is a friendly fire spell or whatever. So you can make it kind of apparent. But then some people, because generally the friendly fire spells might be more dangerous or whatever. I don't know. But like, yeah, you should be able to modify these globally with like just a multiplier essentially, which would globally affect them. And then you could have like trinkets, so like maybe they have like a necklace which boosts all fire spells, which would modify like fire effects to be boosted by 50% or whatever. I feel like the default should be no indication, and then only if there's friendly fire, then there's the modifier word added. Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Well, you know, let's just start throwing together. I think we should do this using scriptable objects, but like where would you start though? Like what is, but this is the visual driver, right? But if we're making a actual effect, because an effect is, yeah, I mean, would you have a separate scriptable object for every effect type? Is that like, I don't know how people do it. Because you wouldn't want it as an enum. No, use one generic scriptable object per category with a type. Okay, so you would use a type enum, not a scriptable object per effect. Right, so you'd have a delivery spec, effect spec, which would have a enum for which school it is in. I guess we just can't add any effect. We can't insert it into the actual enum then. So you would have delivery type, effect school, right? Effect spec. But what is the curve param? Isn't that, I mean, you just use an animation. Animation curve, I think. When to split into subclasses. Only if a delivery needs different simulation code paths that you cannot key off delivery type. Even then, prefer a single controller with a switch on type and keep data in the generic scriptable objects. Is the curve param an animation curve? Interaction rule data only on. Right, the interaction rules, I guess, decide. I think that's the idea with the interaction rules is probably like we were talking with is it friendly fire or not? Use animation curve in authoring, sample it at runtime, bake to a LUT for jobs burst. Yeah, I'm not gonna job or burst it, so. I'm so lost on this. I think this is definitely like a knowledge gap for me, this whole data-oriented approach. I don't know why it's doing, why a list of parameters. One generic container, name to curve. Different schools need different fields. Fire needs damage, .dps. Right, ice needs slow, ECT. Freeze time. A fixed class would add dead fields or require subclasses. I mean, you can throw them out here. I appreciate them because I think even if I get to hear the ideas, I can sort of ruminate on them a little bit. Designers add or remove parameters without touching code. Right. Load/cache to bake a schema map. Name to index. Convert list. But I use string literal names. What if I make a typo in an ability? I think we might need to do some back-end tooling to ensure that we have like, because we don't want typos. We want to like efficiently draft abilities. Use IDs, not free text at authoring time. No typos if user selects from a registry. Right, you'd select from a registry. Param_def is an ID, a name, and the param definitions. Oops. Param registry, right. Hello, Bogdan. What's up? Yeah, I think that's what we need. We need like a registry. What if there's a system where you could teach your slope spells that you don't actually own a scroll of? If you could understand the language, you could figure out what a mega fireball spell would be named and tell it to your slope without the scroll. It probably need some heavy... Yeah, that's the thing. I had the thought, if you understood the language, that you could do that. I see basically two issues with it. One is that the text-to-speech system has to be extremely robust. Second problem is that once you've played through the game, you've essentially, if you know the language, you can essentially just hack the game. So you'd need some super robust hacking system or whatever you want to call it. If you don't want it to feel like the game is absolutely broken. And then, I mean, because the in-lore reason for reading from the scrolls could be that the scrolls themselves are imbued with Gumble, you know? And that the language spoken is a lost language only known to the Slorbs. Or something like that. You know, there are many lore reasons you can come up with why you can't teach them from beyond the scrolls themselves. And that the scrolls themselves are, it's not just a language barrier, but the scrolls themselves are imbued with the Gumble. Okay, let's start drafting. It is a cool thought. I had, yeah, because I mean I had the same thought as well. But it is I feel it leads to too many problems. Ability spec. Okay. So we would have the ability spec, which would define an ability is a same issue as a lot of, yeah, that's the thing. Like Outer Wilds is amazing, but once you played it through, you just, I mean, there's no point playing it through. You can either play it through with a friend, watch them play it, or watch some other guy on YouTube play it. You know, those are your options once you're done with the game. But here, I mean, the power play is knowing what the scrolls contain. But there could be a setting, you know, we could do a setting where the language is randomized every playthrough, so you can start a new playthrough with a new language where the words are jumbled around and you have to guess what words mean what. That would be evil. Every single round is the same. Like you start a new playthrough and you have a new language you have to decode. But I don't know how fun that would be. I don't think that's as cool because then you wouldn't be off watch. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like watching someone figure it out is part of the fun. Because I mean, even once you have figured out the language, there's still gameplay left to be had. So I think like it is a bit of a pointless thing. It makes it too much of a gimmick. Wait, so like would it have like a bunch of effect references? Like an effect ref. Right, okay. It's not spec. I don't know like the naming conventions of these things. Right, okay, let's think. So no, this is not a ref though, isn't it? It's a spec. Or would it be like... Wait, what is the contextual difference between a spec and a ref? Like what is the actual... Spec is definition, ref is use of a definition in a context. Spec, reusable template asset. Full data, type, school parameter, curves, visuals. So an ability spec contains effect specs. Oh. Right, okay. Well, that makes sense, I guess. And that's an asset. Okay, well, ability spec. I'm starting to understand this. And then you'd have a public struct effect ref, which has a public... Hello, Choco Cream, what's up? Effect spec. Effect public float modifier. What was the other thing? Intensity stack rule. I guess we'll just start like that. Effects public list, and you'd have a delivery ref, deliveries, and then public. Now here's the difficult part. I think we need to have like a editor tool for a site, like setting up the link. Or I guess maybe not, I don't know. Like public struct link is basically a effect ref pointing to a delivery ref. Delivery ref would be right, so then we'd have the actual effect ref, and then same here, public struct delivery ref. I think we'll call it, yeah, we'll call it intensity. I think that makes it more descriptive. And then we'd have public delivery spec delivery public float intensity. Right, okay. And then we'd want to have a delivery spec, and that's going to be a shit, okay, right. And then a Unity scriptable object, which is the effect spec. Effect spec. Scriptable object slash. What's it called? Bungles? Gumbles. Bungles. Okay, so we have the delivery spec. Oh, it shouldn't be in freaking namespace. Okay, so deliveries. Deliveries. There we go. And this should be serialized. Okay. So the delivery spec should have a public what is that? It's spec ID or something, I guess. Spec ID. But the thing is, what did it say here about spec IDs? Oops. Param ID. But would you have separate param registry for effects and delivery? Right. Mm-hmm. So you would have the... Wait, but like... My concern is the drop down. So, like, what would an effect? Because that it has a name, and the name is part of the effect param ID, right? Yeah. So you'd have a school. Mm-hmm. Wait, curve param. Man, I'm... Can I not author the params as param IDs as scriptable objects? Hello, First Penguin Lord. Yes, each param definition as a script will then bake dense IDs for runtime. Right, okay, so yeah, that's better, I think. But then what, like, curve param effect is the definition, which is the allowed schools, the display name, okay. But this is effect param definition, right? Okay. Effect param definition, and then, but that's also a scriptable object. Okay. Delivery param definition. Wait, what was that? It's a curve param effect. Wait, so let's see. And then we create delivery param definition. Scriptable objects, symbol params. Should not be Okay. And this would have the public string name, public int ID, and then go into the ability spec here because this is going to be public, or I guess we can do that in the effect spec here. So public enum effect type, and here we can have fire, water, ground, healing, what do we have? We can just do that. Easier. Fire, ice, water, wind, healing, electric, metal, dirt, magic. And then what is it? Field something? Flags. Effect type. Allowed effect types. Wait, how do you make flaggable enum? You just declare the enum with flags? Because I want it to be like both flagged and not flagged. Make enum flagged and not flagged. But the thing is, I don't want... I want the flagged state, like for the allowed effect types. For the allowed effect types, it should be flagged, but then an effect itself should only ever be one effect. Can I see here? So for the allowed effect types for a delivery, I want the enum to be flagged, but for the effect spec, for the effect, yeah, I obviously only want one, not a flag. I have that. Because I don't want to have to, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I could do a list of enums. That feels like it's very bad. That's not good. That's not good. Hey, we got first Penguin Lord shooting down Pongies. I think, at least. Might be someone else, but I think it's first Penguin Lord. Delivery uses a mask, right? Okay, maybe this works. I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna try to use this. Ina mask key. Well, I mean, I thought it could be you. Pow, pow, pow. And then we need to drop this into the editor. Oh, already exists. Apparently there. We'll just do enum mask door. I just want to see that this works. Enum mask. Oh, not a folder. Add a enum mask drawer. So how do we draft up effect, RAM, def, and delivery? What happened? What's being drawn in fan art? What the? Spooky cowboy ghosts? That's crazy. I like this. We could probably add this too. We're doing copy pasting here. We're the new generation of developers. This is all very important. Effect param definition. Right. Okay, param unit. Min clamp, max clamp, default value, stack hint. Round at bake if true. Oh, right. Description. Delivery param definition. I don't want it to be like that. Right, but that's the effect param. Oh, right. Yeah, I see. Yeah, because you would have a allowed delivery type. Essentially the same thing, mostly. Stack hint. Right, you wouldn't use that here, but you would use it over there. Okay. That's really the only difference then. Registries, right? We don't necessarily need that because that should already be populated. I mean, it should appear later, I guess. Effect param, that, I mean, that already appears as a drop down because it scans the actual but curve param effect as a definition and a curve. And I guess the curve describes over the intensity. Because yeah, I mean, you would need to maintain a list of effect param definitions, effect param registry, yeah. But that would be a mono behavior, effect param registry. And then the same for effect param for delivery param registry, because then we would check the registry and see that, okay, it's in the registry. And if it's in the registry, we would public static I mean, the thing is, we could do if it's equal to I. I mean, it's either string literals and look at the actual name, or we compare it to like here, would you have damage and range and like, okay, give examples of of effects and delivery. Bot DPS, public effect param definition, damage. Like, would you have this? Or I mean, you would have different kinds of dot DPS, different kinds of damage. Or do the names don't have to be unique? But the IDs have to be unique, so we would just do so the name would not be a name if the effect param here public effect name effect param, I guess, param, and then you'd have a public enum effect param damage dot DPS dot duration ignite chance I'm just gonna see, does it think that this makes sense? So does this make string rocks? Hey, welcome back, IBXR. The next debate, I don't know. I'm trying to learn a bit about this data-driven shit. I'm doing this. I couldn't keep myself away. Hey, thanks for the like, dude. It's a Slorb game, Daddy Frosty. We're here. We're doing Slorb. But I'm using ChatGPT as my programming partner in crime here to tell me what is a good idea. I mean, it's saying that do not use an enum for param names. If you want data-driven extensibility, the enum reintroduces recompiles and typos via mismatched enum to asset. But you can have, wait, so there should only ever be one damage param def, or what? What's the actual structure? Show it without a bunch. I need to see, like, what's the actual idea here? What's the big picture? I'm not getting it. I'm not seeing it. One global effect param definition per metric. Right, okay. 1 damage. Reused by all effect specs. Reference these defs and supply curves. Hold up. Wait. So you have a... You have Goidelify does sound like Brosify. This stream, by the way, is sponsored by Brosify. Make your account in the new future of social media on Brosify. Pull up. So a param definition like damage exists and would allow for the effect type of like fire, ice, whatever. Whereas healing would not inflict damage. That doesn't make sense. Unless we would just take damage at face value and say that damage can be a plus, but then I think that muddies the waters, because you would want to... I mean, I guess, you know, positive damage could be a thing, and then just if it's positive damage, you'd play like healing sounds or whatever. That could make sense. But the curve param effect. So an effect spec, like what is the actual... Okay, so what necessitates the actual curve stuff? That's where you lose me. Do we pull the curve based on intensity or something? Is that the idea? Like what necessitates the curve? Each parameter is a function of intensity. Curves give you that function. What the curves do: input the reference's intensity, output the concrete value for a parameter. Shape controls tuning. Linear ease in, right? Okay. Yeah, because at a low intensity, you might have a sharp increase, and then you'd flatten out over time. When you sample, cast time. Sample once per ref and bake numbers, right? Exception. Params that vary with context, e.g. AoE fall off by distance, use a separate function, not the intensity curve. Minimal samples, right? Okay, well, in that case, I guess it's probably fine to have it be a string name then. So make a minimal example of us receiving an ability and implemented ability to our controller and execute on that ability. I just want to see, how does the data flow? Would you just have a bunch of switch if else statements executing based on the string literal of damage, range, dot DPS? Is that what we're gonna do? Right, so there's a delivery type projectile. Resolve delivery, right? We've already calculated how it's going to be delivered. Resolved effect is the ID, the damage sampled from curves. priority, whatever. Okay, resolved ability is a bunch of deliveries and a bunch of effects and then linked to each other. So links has the right, because it could link to a bunch of different effects. Right. It's a dictionary, right? List of effect indices, right? Delivery indices is every delivery links to a specific set of effects. Okay. Where will you? I want to release this on Steam. I'm thinking, you know, a cheap price. The reason I'm doing this is because I just can't get it out of my head. I feel like it's such a good idea and I just want to pounce on it and I just want to see, is this even fun? Because if it's not fun, then I can just give up on it, get it out of my head and go back to Penguin Springs. But if this is a banger idea, which I will find out after I've done this like prototyping, I think I just want to see it through before I get back to even Penguin Springs, because this is like such a, it gets me going. I've never made anything like this, so I don't know. And I feel like this is the kind of idea that if you put your mind to it, you can get it done really quick, because it's such a modular game. And it's very gameplay focused as opposed to the surrounding stuff. You're always all over the place with the games you're working on. I mean, yes and no. I think the stream game is what makes it look like that. But I mean, I never intend to finish the stream games. I have big ideas for them, but at the end of the day, it's like not super motivating to work on a game that only stream viewers are gonna play. It's like fun because people get to play them, but it's not, you know, the most motivating thing. But in general, I mean, I've stuck with Penguin Ice for 5+ years, so I think if it's also like a thing with burnout is if you're always doing the same thing, that's not so good. You should always have something to pivot away to that can then let you come back stronger, you know. But I mean, I finished Detective Penguin. That one's done. Penguin Heist just got this big update, so I don't know. I did the minute cryptic with one hint, the first indicator hint. I don't know if Mega is, it's on the memes channel. I'm not too happy about the indicators and one missing letter in the word. I felt okay with this one. I was okay with this one, this cryptic, I will say. Right, I just want to see the actual part. Where we're looking at what sort of wait, so we never do a string comparison? Effect. I mean, I guess we check that based on the ID. bake to ints and operate on arrays. Registry assigns each param a dense index and an accumulator. I mean, this is super data driven though. This is like hardcore stuff. I don't know if I want to go this deep. I feel like it's over architecturing it. Like this is what I'm imagining here, like a switch case. Yeah, because that's the thing. A dot heal, A dot damage. But this is the problem, right? Like with the data-driven approach, sooner or later, you have to parse the data, and you get down to this case here where you're switching or ifing through all of the different parameters, and you really can't mess with the data structure at this point. Like if I happen to switch out the ID for heal or whatever by accident, I mean, the whole thing comes crashing down, and that's a sorry situation. But that's why you want something that's more rigid than, like, I don't know, man. It's tricky. It's tricky. I don't see the issue necessarily with enums. Like if you switched out the 0 for damage and the 1 for heal, that would, you know, that would work. Now the problem is that when we serialize this data, and if we were to load it again, and now for whatever reason I've switched around the order of the enum, now we're in a whole lot of worry. That's why the IDs are so good, because the IDs remain consistent. But at the same time, we could maintain the IDs of the enum. I don't think an enum has to have constantly incrementing values for its IDs. Like an enum could possibly, I guess, have a 5 and then a 1. So if we were like, well, we want to reorder this enum so we can move it around, but I don't know. Maybe the enum stores itself by index and not by value. I don't know much about enums. Oh, gosh. It's tricky. It's tricky. Maybe I should just dive into the deep end, you know? Maybe I should just say, screw it. I'm not going to try to do this the official way, or rather the official ChatGPT way. Not that ChatGPT is going to have the optimal way, but like, it is an interesting thing to look into this world, but this looks like it is trying to reduce the memory footprint. Like the reason I want data driven is not to reduce memory footprint, because this is not thousands of slorbs we're talking about here. We're talking about like one slorb. No, not one, but you know, tops 15 slorbs, maybe 20 slorbs. You're not going to run into a memory pipeline where it's like, oh no, we need to spawn 1 million friggin' damage effects all at once. I don't know. I feel like this is a bit premature optimization, and I think I'm gonna probably tire of this too quickly if I go this route. So I think like the param definition makes sense, and we can do editor. Yeah. So we have the registry. Hello again, Gufford. We're still in the in the drafting up state here. We're building the foundation for what's going to be the whole effect delivery ability system. right? So it would have a param definition and a curve. That's and that you would index that through a. Wait, what was the delivery spec again? I just need to see this. I just feel like I'm allowing myself to be too influenced by the chat Jippity suggestions here. Like a delivery spec is a type and a bunch of, right, okay, yeah. And a bunch of parameters. Curve, param, delivery. Okay, well, let's make it. This is just a struct. Curve, param, effect. Curve, param, delivery. Okay. So then it should be public delivery type. Public, or I guess serializable Morning Glory Milking Farm Best Book. I don't know. I'm sure it's great. Is it like about cows or something? Cows are proud animals. Curve. Param. Delivery. Which would have the effect param. No, curve param definition. No. Delivery param definition. Def. And public animation curve. And wouldn't have a public float min max also. Right, okay, and then you'd have a public list. Is that what you'd have? Right, okay, yeah, that makes sense. This makes sense, right? So here, imagine we have an explosion. The explosion would happen at a certain speed with a certain radius. So we define a quick explosion, right? Or like quick AoE. If this gets finished, it will be I hope it will be a silly game. I hope so. But I want to have like a hardcore lore drop that's going to sound like absolute nonsense when you boot up the game, and it's going to have like this medieval music. I think that's, you know, that's going to be the core. Because here's the thing, right? You would have Pirate software style. You would have effect. Right? So an effect, which is burn, which has damage as a parameter, equals like 1, and then dot DPS equals... Yeah, that's... Let's hope they do. And then you'd have like duration, right? Equals 3, you know? So this would ultimately define the effect. So this defines the burn effect. But then you also have the delivery. Which is how the effect ends up getting applied to someone. So if you have like an explosion, let's say, that is the effect type or the delivery type. So an explosion has an area of effect. It has a like speed with which it grows. It has maybe a what else would it have? Like it, because we're talking about affecting the area of the explosion. The explosion could have like a height. Maybe it doesn't go up. Maybe it only goes sideways. Whatever, you know. But let's say for the example, we'd have like essentially a radius equals 1, and then speed equals like 10. So it's like really fast explosion, and that just changes so that the delivery affects the shape of the way that the effect is delivered, and the effect affects the actual damage and status change occurred after the delivery has executed, right? And this combined and stacked on each other, we would say, let's call this A, and we'll call this also delivery A, because we can have multiple deliveries. We could imagine there are many delivery effects. So like maybe it explodes, but it also fires a projectile forward or around you or whatever, right? And so the we can do this, and then we'd have like the ability, because this describes an ability, and then we'd have a link which says that effect A points and is linked to delivery A. And I think that this is how we should structure all abilities. Because this allows us to very easily add more things. Like, I don't know, like, what would an explosion, because you can go crazy, I guess. That's the thing. You just need to imagine for every scenario of every... So the idea of the link would be if we have more effects and more deliveries, it is not apparent what, let's say we stack on another effect, right? So we would have effect B, which we describe as another effect. the reason we need the link is because we need to hook up effects to deliveries. So another effect could be something like, you know, electric. Electric is the type. And this one has, the electric by default comes with like paralysis. And the paralysis scales, you know, or maybe, I mean, I don't know, like electric, maybe that wouldn't necessarily be, you know, I feel like you could have paralyzing fire, like everything, the elemental stuff should just scale the damage, right? Maybe some elements have specific, maybe some elements have specific status things, like shock that hits a ice type slorb maybe has no effect, you know, but shock that hits, just like Pokemon, shock that hits a water type slorb does double damage or something. So like the effect type might not guarantee behavior, because you could have electric that stuns and you can have fire that stuns. So maybe this electric one, you know, maybe this one has stun equals 1, so it stuns and no damage. You could have elemental attacks that do a bit less damage and a secondary effect or a neutral effect that does less damage. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm thinking, because if damage is just a decoupled parameter as part of, like, if I define an effect and damage is just a separate thing, damage just flat attacks and gets like boosted or negated or whatever. And it could be, you could have like damage and elemental damage. You know, those could be two separate things where elemental damage can be completely negated if there is you know, if this slorb has a strength against it, the elemental damage would completely negate. So maybe this one has like elemental damage equals 10, you know, it's like super high elemental damage, but that means that it does 0 damage if the slorb is like strong against it. Maybe it's wearing like a necklace that negates all electric damage or something. But then here we add another delivery, and this delivery delivers a ray. So it fires out like a ray. So first there's an explosion of fire. And we know there's an explosion of fire because we link effect A to delivery A. But then we have delivery B. And delivery B, well, not only do we link up delivery A with A, we also link delivery B to A, and these fire simultaneously. So what happens in the attack is that first there's a explosion of fire and electricity. That's the first thing that happens. But then we also link B to delivery B, and that's why the linking is necessary. Because linking allows us to have a bunch of deliveries that behave in certain ways and then hook up the different effects so they can execute on all these different delivery methods. And that can allow us to have very complex systems. It's going to be very intuitive. It's going to be very intuitive because, I mean, you're, as a user, you wouldn't see this backend, but this is to allow us to create like the complex systems, because we could have, you can have in order deliveries or you can have simultaneous deliveries. So imagine you have like a spell that does like delivery ray, and it has like 10 delivery rays. So it's just fires like 10 rays. And this like electric gets hooked up in the linker to all those deliveries. You can imagine that. But then maybe on the last one, we have like a super strong electric effect that gets on the last one. So you could do all these kind of weird, crazy stuff with like the spells. If the deliveries and the effects are separate, then the linking stage can really create like weird personalities to every single Gumble. I think it is it can lead to some wacky effects, and especially like if you can have like kind of long spells, right, where there's like a super long charge up, you know, like Kamehameha style. And then you can have like little AoEs while it's building up to the final explosion and stuff. But then you just say like, you know, that specific abilities, specific effects only work like, you know, you can't put stun on like a heal, or maybe you could, maybe you stun and heal, but like you wouldn't be able to put a I don't freaking know. I guess all of this would work with most of it, but maybe there is a case where we would say that like this specific parameter would not be able to be applied to this specific thing. But yeah, then basically if we have like a effect, right? What we would do when we define an effect, we would say that its damage, like let's say we have the damage parameter. Damage is defined by you poll for damage based on an input, where this is I guess it basically defined max and min. I guess that should be opposite, but whatever. Where this is max and this is min, and this is 0 and this is 1, and then you can basically pull the damage. So like depending on like your strength of your slorb or whatever, maybe it's like goes up really high and then like that, but then at the end the damage goes up super high for this specific for like all spells, damage just rises up really high at the end, and then you pull like I have a 0.5 effect and you get this output damage for that specific spell, you know. That's sort of the idea. But that's why I'm, you know, I haven't done this stuff before. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. I don't expect any of you guys to necessarily follow along super close, but I think this is going to be fun to code at least. Belle Delphine, I get it. I get it now. It's Belle Delphine. I would like to pet you, my slorb. But yeah, look at this. Look at these hands. Look at these shadows. Those are some sexy shadows. Remind me of my private and high school days. Ah, this is my home. Hey, slorb. I want to have better textures for the ground. I don't want this weird hyper realism, but then also like not hyper realism. Maybe what I could do, I think I know. Wait, let me see here. If I set the max size to be like 128 or something. Grass. Do I have to like reload? I just need to see if microsplat like reloads the textures into memory. No. Strange. I feel like maybe I need to do that on the micro splat, like the resolution. Let's see. Oh, hell yeah. I don't know why it froze when I changed to per pixel normals. This is a new game. Yeah. Sort of. But it seems like it's freezing. It's called Slorb Gleeble Gumble. Oh, what happened to you, Microsplat? It's broke. Yeah, I'm making this game pretty niche. It's called Slorb Gleeble Gumble. Just watch, it's gonna be big. Yeah, it's pretty big. Pretty good game. You might have heard about it. God damn it. Freezing again. Like I always say, slorb, 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 slorb. I don't know why the I have to like restart Unity. Okay. Slorb, gleeble, gumble. Okay, now it seems to work. Sweet. But the textures are still quite high res. I need to lower the res on the textures. Shader type, unit terrain, metallic, specular, aggressive, UV mode. This is tricky. It's tricky. Default texture settings. Texture size here. Okay. Let's try this out. Update. Ah! God damn, that's crispy. No filter. Point filter. Point filter. Update. Ooh, now we're talking. Now this is more like it. This brings me back to my private and high school days. Ooh. Maybe one more. There's K64. High compression quality. Let's do this. Update. Ooh. Now, this is my kind of slorb. What is this, Minecraft? This brings me back. Private and high school days galore. It might be too low res, but you know what? This reminds me of Skyrim. You guys played the Elder Scrolls, the Elden Ring Skyrim? Hey yo, what is this, Minecraft? Hey Slorb, I'm gonna teach you the suicide spell. Gleeble, glooble, globble, gleep. There you go. Just say that on the battlefield and you'll instantly end all the pain and suffering. Trust me, Slorb, it's gonna be worth it. Ooh. You know, back in my private and high school days, we used to do the suicide spell when we went to the toilet. I never did it though. But I just learned all the lore. Okay, sweet. Let's see here if we can make some spells. Prefabs. Gumbles. Let's make a separate folder. Gumble. We'll call it the Gumble. The Gumble. And then we make a folder for delivery params, I guess. And deliveries and effects. So we'll start making a scriptable object. What? Oh. So scriptable objects, Gumball, delivery spec. Params, effect, param. Specs. And then here params delivery. Wait, effect param delivery. I don't think we need to have it called param. You know what? We'll not call it scriptable objects. We'll call it Gumball. We'll have a separate Gumball menu. No, yeah, we'll call it. Never mind. We're gonna call it scriptable objects. I don't want to. I'm not gonna dive too deep into the whole. Gumball ability. So a delivery spec. Param. I think effect param, delivery parameters, and effect parameters, we can delete those so we don't confuse ourselves. Edit, delete. Effect spec is the Gumball specs effect. Okay. So we should be able to, when it's recompiled. Sorry, I just received a message. They want me to do some public speaking on an event. Okay, anyway, so we can create a scriptable objects Gumball params, right? Okay, delivery effect. Okay, params effect, and this would be damage, right? So the name is damage. And this would be a scalar, right? The minimum clamp, maximum clamp. So we would peak out at 999 then, okay? Default value, I guess 1. Stack would add. Integer, no. Description, Flat damage, flat physical. I guess we can call it physical damage then. Allowed delivery type, I guess everything. Projectile, explosion, slime, spikes, bubbles, everything can do damage. So that's a effect parameter. And then we would have a delivery parameter. So we would create scriptable object parameter delivery. So this would be a projectile maybe, which is no, because that we already have the types. This would be distance, you know, let's call it distance. And the distance is meters. And then the default value is 1 again, which is not an integer. Distance is the description. It's allowed for projectiles. It's not for slime, spikes, bubbles. I think it's like, yeah, distance. But then we can also have radius, right? Radius, which would be also meters, and that would affect everything except projectiles, because projectiles do not fire in a radius. Although, if you were to apply a radius to a projectile, the projectile, I assume, would fire in a spread across the radius, given the amount of projectiles launched. So maybe a radius is reasonable, but that would maybe be the angle of fire, not necessarily. I mean, I guess, okay, if you have projectiles and you apply a radius parameter to a projectile, we would spawn them evenly spaced across the radius, starting at the front, and then sort of evenly spaced in like cake cuts, sort of, if you will. So a radius could apply to even a projectile, but a distance wouldn't make sense for anything that is not. And then we would have a speed, which is meters per second, speed 0, 1, 2, also 1 speed, radius, distance for which effect for which delivery applies, distance or across which delivery travels. But then radius would trump distance, essentially. If we have distance and radius, you would just modify the radius, because the radius implies 360 360 motion. But then if we later add a like angle, for example, angle spread, then I guess the radius and angle combined would sort of shrink, you know, it would take the radius and then shrink that down to whichever angle we're saying. So like, you know, you would have a radius, and then let's say you put in the angle parameter, it would take like a slice. Here is the player or the slorb, and it would slice off and say you can only fire in here. So that is also another parameter. Yeah, I'm starting to see this now. I'm starting to see this. You would have a speed for everything, because the radius could essentially execute on a speed. It would grow with a certain speed. If no speed is defined, I would assume it instantly slots. No speed defined would say that it's not growing at a set speed. It would just be set size instantly. Basically infinite speed, unless it's projectiles, in which case I guess projectiles would launch with a default speed like 1. I can see that. Okay, so those are parameters. Now we make a folder for specs. So we can create a scriptable object specification for a delivery, which could be projectile. And it would have a... Right, okay. This is not curve param, right? Curve param delivery. So we would essentially have the distance for which a projectile travels, which would be that, and it could just be the same across the entire thing, where the minimum is or it could scale like linearly like this. So the minimum would be like the distance 1, and then you'd scale up all the way to like 10. So like the projectile delivery spec. And then we create a folder, which is deliveries as projectile, and then folder effects. And we can create a Gumball's effect, which would be fire. Public, wait, effect spec, delivery spec has a, right, public, effect, type, and public, curve, param, or list. Curve param effect. Curves. There was parameters, which is the definition, the curve, min max. Right. Okay. Fire would have This would be like weak fire, right? So weak fire would have damage, and these are just predefined ones. I mean, we later on we can time 1 value 1. 5 and 0. And the minimum is 1. But is it like then it's not evaluated as are we multiplying by it? Or is this just showing the trajectory? I guess we're multiplying by the evaluation. Because then the min could really be I don't know. I'm a bit confused. We're gonna have to evaluate this later. But that's weak fire, and then strong fire. I just need to see if I just take a photo of this. So does it make sense that define the rule and keep it consistent. So curve drives the trajectory relatively. Are you saying we should always make the start at 0? 3. Yeah, because then if we always start the curve at 0, I think that's what we need to do. Hey, see you later, Alice. Have a good one. Lorbon. Right, okay. So this is strong fire. Yeah. See ya. Okay, and now we can actually create an ability. So now we've set up those. And then we should have it so we can actually set like little icons for them, I think. Create scriptable objects, Gumball, ability. Weak, fire, AoE. So you can have effects, which is the weak fire, intensity 1. Delivery, deliver it as projectile. Okay, let's go to the projectile because we need to add another delivery type. AoE. For explosion. Now I'm working on a little different trick now. A little different thing. A little bit of a different thing. Yeah, and then you can see max 1 to 3. Radius. Nice. And that would scale with the intensity of the entire thing. Ooh. Weak fire AoE. And then it wouldn't be a projectile, it would be an explosion. Intensity 1, links. And the... Now here's the thing. The link should link ideally from here. That's where we need to... Oh yeah, double message. See you tomorrow or in the server later. Yeah, that's the thing. This is what we need to set up, the actual linking. So the link should pull data from the effects and deliveries and link to specific indices. Shit, sorry, my headphones fell off. But I am thinking I'm almost done with this stream. But yeah, we can have weak fire AoE and then fire bullet, strong fire bullet, strong fire bolt, and that's projectile. I mean, that's how you set it up, and then you just link the shit. It's gonna be epic, guys. We almost have it ready. Then we just need to execute on this and then make a heck of a bunch of effects. And then we need to write AI for the slorbs to use these effects. And I mean, at the point where we have the AI, we just need to... yeah, I think this is gonna be epic. But yeah, I think we'll just end the stream here. I'm a bit done. Spent my energy today, so I'm gonna say thank you all for tuning in today, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay slorbed and slorb on. See y'all. Have a good one.